knows Ben Ritt. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
Ben is our, I can't
Special
remember
projects. Just
Thank you.
special projects. Yeah.
He's the special project coordinator.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben does a fabulous job for all of us. Most of you guys know Ben, and he does an incredible job for all of us. And we appreciate you being here, buddy. I want to, first thing was getting it recorded. Thank you, bud. And then just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you guys for being here today. I thought we'd take it on a little different angle today, frankly. I've got something on my mind, and I want to go down that road with all of you. So what I want to talk about today really is I want to have some discussion about how to regain your confidence after having a stroke, and how do you move forward after having a stroke, right? And that's a big deal if we all sit here and think about it. And I know that Aaron talks to many people. A lot of you talk to a lot of folks. And to me, this is a very key, important thought and idea that we have, and how we can help other people, because not everybody, I think Kim is an exception. Frankly, there are a few exceptions in the room, but for the most part, everybody either has it initially, okay, which is really what happened in my case, or has it throughout their life a little bit afterward. And so I wanted to talk about that specific thought today. And I can either kick it off, or I'd rather probably just have somebody else do it. So let me start with these 3 questions. 1, did you have an issue with your confidence after your stroke? 2, how has things progressed? How have you gotten better over time? What specific things have you done? What thoughts have you had? And how can we help others get that feeling over time? And then 3, how do you keep on your journey? How do you continue to keep an okay attitude? I know we go back and forth, at least I do, and I'll be forthcoming with you guys. But how do we do that? I think it's a critical piece to what we all, talk about over time. And so that's what I want to kick this off with today. So anybody here want to start with that? And let me set another ground rule. Let's say that, let's try to get it done within 4 or 5 minutes per person, so that everybody has an opportunity to speak, and I'll help keep that on track. So anybody want to kick us off?
Keith, I can do it.
Jeff, please. Thank you, bud.
Okay, so I'll tell you, my name is Jeff Chetlin, and I am almost 60 years old. I had a stroke a year ago, and the first 6 months were really hard. Lots of bedtime, lots of couch time, and they released me from rehab. So my biggest deficit is my vision, and I'm dizzy. I'm still dizzy. So I had a cerebellar stroke, and so for the first 12 months, I was reliant on my wife 100% to drive me everywhere, to do everything for me. And my rehab people and my doctor, who's a friend of mine, kept saying to me, you need to start taking some chances. And my doctor, who I love to death, I'm a mountain biker. And so a few of my friends who are mountain bikers came to my house one day back in the end of the winter and put me on my bicycle. And I said, I don't know if I can do this. And we were in a little grass field, and I rode my bike. And since then, I've been riding my bike probably 4 days a week. And I just ride in the cemetery where there's no cars. But, I'm up to riding about 10 miles 3 times a week. And
Wow.
It has been a wonderful thing for my confidence. And how do I keep that going, Keith? So before I had my stroke, I was on Mount Rainier, and I did this fantastic mountain bike ride with a bunch of friends. and it's a shuttle where you take a shuttle to the top, and then you come back down. And I told all my friends that are like, that's your goal, whether it's this coming summer or next coming summer or 3 years from now, your goal is to be able to get back to that point and do that. So I have like a goal in mind. I haven't driven yet. And so my wife left 3 days ago to ride her bicycle to Washington, D.C. And where we live in Pittsburgh, it is about 340 miles. And so she was going to take the train back to Pittsburgh. And I said, babe, I'm just going to come pick you up. She said, well, you haven't driven in over a year. And I said, well, let me drive a little bit. So I drove with her. And I've been like today, I went to my therapist. It's about an hour north of where I live. And so I've been driving and driving and driving. And so it allows me to see these little milestones that I'm making. And I just think that having a goal set and having people in your back pocket who can help you was really beneficial to me. But goals are important. And, you know, I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea to have these big goals set ahead of you, but you know, if you don't try, you'll never know. So
thank you so much, Jeff. I want to, and if everybody's okay, I'm going to iterate a little bit in between each of us as we have these. So some of the things that you're talking about is setting a goal. That's of course a huge part of it. And I know Jeff pretty well. I know most everybody on this call pretty well. And Jeff is a lot like a lot of us. You set a goal and you set it way up here, right?
Yeah.
After your stroke, because you think, oh, you know, this thing's gonna finish and I'm gonna go for it and I'm gonna kill this damn thing and everything. And so he sets a really, really high goal. And part of the depression that comes, frankly, from all of us is we're used to doing things and then we have a stroke and then we set these high goals and then we get pissed because we can't hit these goals.
Yep.
and frustrated. And so it knocks us down a few, right?
Yep.
And then we kind of reiterate. And Jeff, talk about that for a minute, would you?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so when I'm out in Bend, you know, my wife and I ski and we always have season passes. And so I had bought my season pass a year ahead to ski, thinking when I get out of the hospital, I'm going to ski this winter. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to beat this thing. They say 3 to 6 months. I'm going to beat this thing. And I went out there for the month of March and I couldn't ski one day. And it really, really, you know, my kids, my wife, everybody went to the mountain every day and I'd sit at home and listen to books on tape. And it was really hard. That depression hit me hard. And just recently, when I rode that 10 miles, I rode down to the park where I live in Pittsburgh and I saw all the old guys I used to sit and ride with and sit and have a beer with afterwards. And I said to my wife, I said, you know, I didn't ride with them because I can't ride what they do anymore. And like I said, I ride in the cemetery, but, you know, I almost felt like I was coming back to my old self, but I'm fooling myself because I don't know if I'll ever be able to do what I used to be able to do. But it really hurts when you think, like, I don't want to make my goals too far ahead. Like, I don't want them untouchable. And to be able to do a ride that I did before my stroke, it might not be reasonable, but I still have to have it. But it is depressing. And I'm still trying to accept that I had a stroke. I'm still trying to accept that it's going to be a long time before I can do other things.
So one other thing I want to reiterate here and talk about a little bit, and we'll continue on. Thank you so much, Jeff, though. But, you know, he hit another note that is key as I think about this and knowing everybody, and we've talked so much about it is that, look, just because we have the stroke, okay, and we can't do what we want to do, and we may set our goals and when we can't accomplish them, we get upset. And I'm thinking of different words in my mind about not being able to accomplish those. And so we get upset and it knocks us down a few. And that's okay, bud. That's okay, because you're still reaching, you're still trying, you're still going for it. And even though we have to adjust ourselves, we can still continue to find growth, right? We can still continue to grow all the time. So thanks so much, Jeff.
Sure.
Who wants to go next now?
Yeah, I'm on a Zoom call with my stroke people. She'll
Maybe we
accept.
could raise a hand. Maureen?
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, cool.
Hi.
Come on back.
Oh, I
Ralph?
just wanted to touch, sorry.
Maureen,
Go ahead, Maureen.
Mo is on, and then Ralph, you're next.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to touch on what Jeff just said, which was the idea of feeling back to normal. I think we got to stay in that mind space a lot. Like, I know I get there. I love to cook. So there are times that I'm not cooking as fast or as you know, complicated recipes sometimes, but I'm cooking. And oftentimes I forget that I had a stroke because I'm like, I feel like I'm back. And then I just wanted to say to Jeff's point, like, don't let crashing come back to earth. You know, like sometimes I'll like, wait a minute, nothing's changed. And that gets the depression. Just stay in that mindset sometimes. Just, it's okay. It's okay. You know, you're not going to change your physicality, but it's a mind game. And that's where I feel like I need to spend more time in my head. Just to add on to that, Jeff. So thank you.
agree.
That's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mo. And one thing is, at the end of this, I'm going to talk a little bit personally too, just for some final thoughts on all this. So, and you brought up some of that for me too, Mo. Ralph, go ahead, please.
Well, I haven't been able to tell my story yet, but I'll tell you the background real quick. My stroke was in 2015. It was in my brainstem. I don't know what it's called, but whatever. In the beginning, my first year was really tough. I didn't have a lot of confidence. What I did have was anger. And my anger was, I'm going to do this no matter what. Unfortunately, I couldn't. At the time, I didn't feel like I could set goals. I don't know if this is going to be helpful, but I didn't know I could set goals. You know, I lived day to day. I did my very best every day. I was by myself in Pennsylvania. I had no choice but to do what I had to do. I was angry because that week before my stroke, I had put 4 roofs on some cabins at a summer camp. You know, I was in great shape. So I got angry. So what I did was I did the day-to-day living stuff that I could do to try and build my confidence as best I could. I didn't have a lot of confidence in that first year. Luckily, I got a physical therapist 6 months later that helped me a great deal in developing some goals. And I wound up walking again after a year without too much help. I had a walker at that time. So I did start getting better. After a year and a half, I got a cane, you know, so I was doing better there. I'm still have the cane, but luckily I've gotten better moving around a little bit. I went to Colorado Springs because my daughter was there. Then I wound up coming up here. And I'll tell you, the best thing in my life that's happened to me since stroke is coming up here, because some of the goals that I don't know I have been to be able to do some work. You know, I was in construction, I was in landscape, I did all that kind of stuff. Now I'm doing landscaping again. I'm feeling better in my body. I'm developing more tolerance to do more work. How do I help others? By telling them not to give up, you know?
Yeah.
The anger may not be a confidence builder or a goal-setting tool, but it certainly is a coping mechanism. For me, it was anyway. And then Mo's point about the cooking, that has been probably my most, the best coping tool I've had. Sundays I cook. I do Italian food, I do American food, I do Mexican food. I make my food for the week or 2 weeks or whatever. So I've done a little bit at a time in different areas. finally, I've gotten to see a new physical therapist since moving up here 10 weeks ago. And that physical therapist took an hour and a half of my time on Friday, and it was the most comprehensive thing I have ever done. So I've started to believe in myself again. It's taken 7 years to do that. You know, I've gained a lot more confidence up here that I didn't realize I didn't have. I've done some things other than that with peer support training and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm taking on things more and more to try and help me build up my strength, my mental strength, my physical strength, whatever. So I do a little bit each time, and I still do my cooking. That's what takes away the anger and relaxes me. And I play my Italian music in the background. And I have my Italian corner in my house with the Italian flag hanging, so there's a process I do go through that helps me get better. And I try and share that with other people. My peer support, I shared my cooking experience and presentation. That was unbelievable. I've started writing an Italian cookbook. There's all kinds of things happening that I'm going to continue to try and develop physical strength. He gave me some good new exercises that already within a week has helped me. So I think this group's going to help. The other groups I hope to get involved in are going to help. I'm just one of those that I'm not going to give up, and I'm just going to fight. One of the summaries that the physical therapist gave me was, he said, I do the work because I have to. And in my mind, I have to in order to survive. So that's how I continue.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm making notes, which is awesome. Yeah, those were, you made quite a few great notes, bud. And I love it very much. Cooking is one of those things that can definitely take your mind off of, what's wrong with me, and make you think, okay, what am I doing? How do I make the next step? And get your mind thinking in the right direction. So that was awesome. And I really appreciate that. You kind of, we'll have you tell your story here pretty quick too, because I know there's a lot more to it, but that was really good. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Who's
you.
next? Who's next? Bevan. Oh, yeah. Okay, Bevan.
Yeah, hi, I'm Bevan. I had a left cerebellar stroke back in 2020, and my reviews are pretty mixed. I think I had tons of confidence like right after the stroke. I think because the bar was set so low.
Now, how do you mean by that? Expand on that a little bit.
Well, for a little while it was just trying to stay alive, and then it was kind of like, well, he had a stroke. How good can he be right now? So I felt like I had this sort of year grace period where no one expected anything of me, and I think maybe because of the having those that kind of, it was almost like a cushioned time of low expectation. I felt like, well, I'm just going to exceed those expectations, and I think I did. I recovered a lot of faculties, and began walking pretty quickly, doing some other things, like wrote a book, did all this stuff that wasn't necessarily expected of me. But then, I think then I went into this sort of lull period where nothing was changing. But then I was also kind of like, well, I'm not really doing anything to improve my lot. Then somehow I got hooked up with this group, and then then it kind of recharged my batteries in the sense that, yeah, I kind of became motivated again to start, improving. And so I'm kind of going back and forth between this, this sort of very positive to, very low place. And I think that, one of the biggest contributing factors to the low place right now is that, my career is more or less on the line right now. My job has been a little less sympathetic towards, a surgeon having a stroke, and they're kind of like, well, they're trying to kind of pigeonhole me into this clinical place, and they're not really allowing me the opportunity to see what I can do procedurally with my hands. I do have a lot of left-sided upper extremity ataxia, but they're not really allowing me to see what I can and can't do, and mostly just putting up a lot of bars because of legal fears and things like that. And so they're not, as a result of that, they're just not really being accommodating in any sort of way. And so that's been really frustrating with me. And I've almost been like, more pissed than a rattlesnake recently, but it's just hard, I think. So now it feels like, okay, now the bar's really high right now, and I have to get there or else, and so I'm kind of in a bad place with everything right now.
Can I talk about this for a second? And then I want to hear others' opinions as well. So when I went through my stroke, and I'm not going to bore everybody with a story right now, but I ended up losing my company, right? And a lot of that, now, I don't see this so much with you, Bevan. So let me preempt this by saying that. However, my confidence level was down. And this is why I'm bringing this up a lot, because people need that boost of confidence. And so I allowed my partners at the time to pigeonhole me and to put me in a place that wasn't really where I was at. And because of my confidence level going way down after having the stroke and not being able to communicate and all the shit that I went through and crying in meetings and you name it, my confidence was way down. And so I allowed that to happen, and I should not have done that. Now, I'm very thankful for where I'm at today. I love what I do, and that's a whole different issue. But from my company standpoint, that's what happened. And so I just want to encourage you. And I know you said I'm as pissed as a rattlesnake, and I know you somewhat. And so I know you're doing everything you can, but don't let them pigeonhole you, buddy, because you're a sharp young man. So that's my take on it. Anybody else? Kim O'Kelly.
Thank you, Keith. I just want to really say something to you, Bevan. I know that there is a reason for everything. And I would like to say that no matter if they push you out, because it is the medical community and they're afraid. It's like what you just said. They're afraid. You're a risk. You're a whatever you are. I trust you sound to me like you're a young man that would do everything you can to be able to figure it out with your hand. But if they don't let you, okay, you've already written a book. I trust that there is something greater for you. And I say that to all of us. I'm getting chills as I'm saying it. There's something greater for all of us. If we open up to the avenue that we are not done, we get to do some of the wonderful things again, like you're cooking, Ralph, bravo. Okay, but there's something else around the corner that maybe you don't even know you wanted to do and accomplish.
Agree.
So I think it's so important for us to remember that hope and we're talking about confidence. Yes, doing gives confidence. Sitting back and not doing makes you feel less than. That's just easy right there. Effort brings confidence. No matter what area in your life you're whether it's a relationship, whether it's your left side that you're improving, whether it's no matter what that is. And so I just want to say that to all of us, we're not done, or we'd be dead in the ground. I don't know about you, but I had a hemorrhagic stroke and 20% live. So I'm not done. I don't know what I said to my friend today, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, but I'm 66 and I'm not dead. And there's so many things to do in life. My goodness. But if we sit by, get you being pissed at them, and damn straight you are, because they're narrow-sighted. That's what makes you angry. And you have no say over this narrow sight. But again, okay, I just had to say that.
Thank you, Kim, so much. That was awesome, by the
Thanks,
way,
Kim.
and right on the money. I look at somebody, and Bev, you're up, but let me finish my thought here. I look at somebody like Aaron Avila, who is in our group here, and he runs a show over and over and over, and he is so consistent. And I'm not giving you the mic yet, buddy, but he's so consistent, and man, he just works like crazy, and he is making a huge difference in the world, to where he doesn't even probably realize how much of a difference he's making. And Bevan, coming back up to your point, and Kim's together, a lot of us, after having a stroke and we're trying to get back into the workplace or whatever, we may get thrown a curve. You are a very sharp young man, and you know it, we all know it. It isn't the end of the world if that doesn't happen for you. And I want to be careful what I say, but you've got a long way to go, and you're going to do a great job of it. So I hope that makes sense. Bev, you're up.
Yeah, I had 2 massive hemorrhagic strokes. I'm a 21-year survivor. So I had my first one in 1999, and I got thrown for a loop. I felt like I was only half of a person because my right side was totally paralyzed. And for the first 5 years after the first stroke, that's how I felt, like I was only really half of a person. But I got thrown into doing PhD research at Oxford, and I had to leave the country and go to a new country and try my best to do whatever it was that I was supposed to be doing. And, looking at my dissertation and stuff like that, I remember sitting crying because I couldn't remember how to spell TH. And yet I was writing a 750-page dissertation with all kinds of complex theological terms. And I'm like, how am I doing this? But thanks God for spell check and, determination. And many people that know me call me the Energizer Bunny, because I didn't stop. I kept going, and in spite of everything, and in spite of those minor setbacks, like crying for 2 hours, not knowing how to spell not even knowing what letter began with, that kind of stuff. But I did it. I got my doctorate. I finished. I came back in 2 years. I began scholarship so that I was a Wesleyan scholar, invited back to Oxford twice, one of 200 scholars in the world, invited back to give academic papers. And one paper has been very successful. So, yeah, I never gave up, but I got thrown for it because I didn't know what else to do. I had to take the scholarship. I had to go to Oxford, and that was about it. And when I was in Oxford, I decided to do my own rehab because I was 6 weeks out of my initial stroke when I left
Wow.
Oxford.
Wow.
Wow.
I arrived in England in a wheelchair. 2 years later, I walked off carrying my own luggage, but I had another stroke while I was in England. So, but I cleaned houses for a living because they wouldn't pay me to preach. So they said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I could clean. And they liked how Americans clean their houses. So I cleaned 9 houses plus the village hall and did that. So this July, I'm doing a vacation Bible school for 24 children. I wrote the curriculum myself, and we're mass producing kind of things. And so I don't quit. And this Sunday, I'm preaching for another pastor, a 3-point charge. So 3 services on Sunday. So
So, whoops. So let me take a quick second here. Bev, I hope I didn't interrupt you. I wasn't trying to do that. Real quick here. There's all these thoughts. There's all these things that are coming at me as you guys are talking and stuff. And I've been writing them down. I just don't want to, I don't want to lose some of these. So we're going to take a quick 30 seconds here, and I'm going to talk about a few of these, and then we'll go to the next person. So I've heard sense of worth and how important your self-worth is, and knowing that you are, you've got value in this world and you can take it. I've heard having something to do, just having something to do so that you can stay focused on something and do something every day so that you don't, your mind doesn't go down, oh, poor me kind of a avenue. Focus on getting better. Of course, Bev just talked about determination, not quitting. Don't quit, continue to do it. Hope, confidence. There are a million things that I'm taking notes all over the place, and I love it so much. You guys are very inspirational for me as well. So, okay, let's do a couple more, and then we'll finish up with some stuff at the end here.
Hey, Keith, can I add something real quick for everybody?
Yes, Jeff.
You know, I've been going to this great therapist since I had my stroke a year ago, and he's very Eastern, very Buddhist, and he always talks about, to me, which makes me feel better, there is no way you can feel pleasure without having pain, and you have to suffer through things to get through it. And he always tells me, like, you're in the woods right now, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but when you survive this, and when you come out of this, whether it's in 1 year or 5 years from now, you're going to be a better person when you're out of it. But when you're in it, you can't see the other side.
Yeah. And so does he talk at all, Jeff, about how to bring that into the equation when you're feeling that way, so that okay, there's something on the other side?
Yeah, what he says to me is sometimes, like mid-afternoon, I'll take a little nap. When I wake up from a nap, I feel really low and depressed. And I said, Mike, what can I do about this? And he's like, use that time to focus on the pain and how low you are, because that's what's going to build you up for when you're over. Like,
wow.
when you get out of it, do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know
Yeah.
when we get out of it. I may not ever get out of it, but if it's a year from now, or if I'm able to bike on a single track or ski again or work again, but I will tell you that the pain is what's building the reward for later. I don't know if that's too philosophical or not, but
I love this. And I know many of you have heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. We have to track ourselves. I know it's a pain in the ass, and I know it's hard to do. And Bevan uses his phone, and some of us, we write things in a journal, but you've got to find a way. You've got to find a way to continue to track yourself. I don't care how many years you've been at it. and see the progression that's happening in your life, because that will self-motivate you to continue down the road and to continue to get better. And so I wanted to say that real quick, but who else hasn't had a chance here that wants to talk about the three things? Did you have an issue with your confidence? How have you gotten better over time? And then how do you continue on your journey?
Knows.
Anybody?
I can say a
Deanna.
bit. Hi.
Deanna, go.
Uh, I hate to even talk because this is so complicated. So I had a left cerebellar stroke last year, July 4th, a day after my vaccine. And so they're pretty much 100% sure that's what caused it. Because you know how when you have a stroke and they put you through every test known to mankind and they couldn't find a reason for mine. I mean, I realize sometimes they can't, but anyway, so yeah, I lost, like I couldn't walk for months. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't, and then because I had 3 more strokes after that, I had a hemorrhagic stroke. I had 2 more strokes, not in the cerebellum, but one was in a prefrontal cortex, all of them. And then I had another hemorrhagic transformation around the original stroke site, which they've never seen before. So my brain looked like a bomb went off in it. I was extremely high level fitness prior to this. So when I got to the ER, all these young residents wanted to give me TPA drug, right? And then luckily I said no, because I think you're on crack. And yeah, luckily I said that because I hemorrhaged really badly the next day just from the baby aspirin they gave me. So no, it was a shit show. That's all I can say. Because it was vaccine related, no one wanted to touch me with a 10-foot pole. It became very political. I was a massage therapist. I was opening a new clinic out in Vancouver Island, Victoria, on August 1st. I lost all of that. My partner's a pandemic expert. He works closely with public health, Dr. Bonnie Henry here. He had an affair a year previous, younger than our children. He shows up at the ER. So speaking of losing confidence, I lost all confidence in myself prior to the stroke. So the stroke was the cherry on the top, and so I was thrust into a world. I had already been thrust into a world that wasn't quite very surreal to me without losing this man who I just adored. He was, we had an amazing life together. So it was so shocking, all of that. And then the kids were all traumatized from it. I was traumatized from it. And then I had the stroke, and they're used to seeing their mom being, climbing mountains and, all that stuff. But then, they had to bathe me, and the only thing that kept me alive was my grandson. He's 8 years old, and they allowed him to come into the ICU with me. And I think that's what kept me going. He's the only thing that keeps me going now. I have since relearned to walk. I still walk like Frankenstein. I was in a wheelchair, then I was on a walker. And quite frankly, I mean, once they gave me that 4-wheel walker, I actually escaped from the rehab hospital. I went up to this forest and I walked for about 25 Ks, which I don't know what that is in miles. I come back and the wheels are trashed. They were looking everywhere for me. And then I ended up with severe nerve damage in this arm because, once they gave me a walking tool that I could really get around on, I mean, nobody in their right mind walked on a walker that far, and then I had a walking pole because I still can't use this arm very well. It's like, dead meat. But and then I was going up to the pool, but then, because of COVID, I couldn't have vaccines. So then the pool was taken away from me because they kept adding more and more vaccine passport mandates, right? So I'm telling you, having a stroke that in the middle of the COVID mess, with it being vaccine related, became a real shit show. I was passed from doctors to doctor. People were politicized the hell out of it. Yeah, so I haven't been able to work. I don't know if I'll work again. So yeah, I have literally no confidence.
Well, so Vienna, now just a second. I'm going to go back here for a second. So two things that you said during what you just talked about. One was that your grandson was motivational for you.
Yes.
Now, that is a true motivation.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We all have people in our lives that we're motivated by. We're motivated to help them, or, you're his grandmother, for Christ's sake. I mean, you're right. And so that is a motivation. And I'm happy that you noticed it, and good on you for that. I want to say that.
Yeah, I
You-
put pictures of him everywhere because when I feel like doing myself in, I just look at his face and I think, I want him to look back as me as like a warrior, right? Like, because he's used to being up a mountain with me. He's used to, when I was in the ICU, people would take him out hiking or something. And all the physio, he come to physio with me and they'd say to him, your grandma's exactly the same. And he goes, no, she's not. She's nothing the same. He was bluntly honest about it. But I have to say to Jeff, like, I'm a huge cyclist and I can cycle better than I can walk. But because I
I'm
was
the
on
same
my,
way. Same
and yeah,
way.
and because I could, but I was terrified. And in Canada, they send you to a rehab hospital immediately here and it's all paid for. Like I was there for 6 weeks, I lived. And the physios got to know me really, really well. And they really enjoyed working with me because I was one of those nutcases. They didn't have to motivate me, right? Because I wanted to get, in order to keep me mentally somewhat sane, I don't know if I'm really sane at all, actually, but they had to get me on my feet, and I forced them to take me out on the bike. They had mountain bikes, they had those adaptive bikes, and I'm like, screw that. I need to get on my mountain bike. And they just thought I was nuts. So I said, either you help me or I'll go do it on my own. So they did get me to the point. But my problem wasn't even balance. I just couldn't turn left, like, because the strokes were all, my brain did not know how to make a left-hand turn on the bike. So every day I went out and then I put myself in the face of danger constantly. Like I would go to busier streets. I would go, and it's terrifying. I'm going to say I sometimes felt like puking. And when I know I've cycled too much is when I feel it's just sheer nausea from the sensory overload, from the, because you have to think so much, right? But it's become more natural. So I started that in February and now I'm pretty much cycling everywhere I used to be, but I don't go up into the mountains now because my brain can't handle coming down hills that fast and stuff like that. Right. But,
so Vienna, that's a great point. Jeff, did you want to comment before we go on?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say to that is everything you said I can agree with. And I because of my cerebellar stroke and it affected the vomit centers, I've had a tendency to throw up. And so my train, do you throw up too? It's terrible.
I threw up for a really long time, but it stopped, I saw a neuro-ophthalmologist that actually helped quite a bit with that. Because when I'm walking, it's worse actually, because the ground looks like it's rolling like this.
Yeah, me too.
But he said all the stuff I'm doing is helping, like forcing myself to do crazy shit, right?
Yeah, so that's the same as me. Like, I started off with just riding in a circle and I started doing a mile or two. And then one day my buddies came, they took me into the park and I didn't do anything hard, but I was on my bike for an hour and I got home and I'm standing in my garage with my friends and I just threw up all over my garage. And I ride my bike to my gym where I work out. And sometimes I leave my gym and I throw up on the street, or when I get home, I throw up. And that has slowly been waning away. But I have the same thing with you. And I totally agree with you. I can ride my bike better than I can walk.
Yeah. When I get off my bike, people look at me like I'm drunk most of the time. In fact, they make comments about it. Right. And I always go, I wish, like I wish I was hammered, but I'm not, like that's just how I
interject here. I'm going to interject here. So, and thank you for all of that, Vienna and Jeff both. That was awesome stuff. But I want to interject a couple of things. One was the motivation value. And with Vienna, it was her grandson. You can find motivation if you look for it. It can be anything. There can be a million different things it can be. And, so I want everybody to recognize that and to make sure you're thinking of that. The second thing I want to talk about is that none of us are that good at, and I kind of mentioned it a minute ago, but tracking your growth. Now, Vienna talked about what had happened and, no one thought, anything would happen with her growth and all this. And she's growing like crazy. She's really hitting it hard. And Vienna, I just want to challenge you to make sure that you are tracking that stuff, because it shows the confidence, it shows the growth that you're having. You're going to continue to have as long as you stay in that mode. And so I just want to say thanks, and I'm happy for you. You're going the right direction in a huge way. So keep it up. Yeah.
Thanks. My daughter just came out to visit me recently. She hasn't seen me since I was in a wheelchair because I'm not allowed to fly because they haven't lifted the vaccine mandates here.
Mhm.
And she was just broke down at the airport because I was just standing there, right? And she just went, "Oh my God." She's like, "Oh my God." Like she just couldn't believe it. Like, and yeah, it was pretty emotional,
Yeah.
because I don't see it, right? I don't remember the last year of my life. I don't remember barely what happened. It was so traumatic, right? And plus you're so out of it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so to see her
Well-
face was, worth it. But
I just want to reiterate, we may have time for a quick 5 minutes more, but I want to stay on target today. I want to, first of all, I want to thank everybody so much because this is huge stuff. Is it not? I mean, do you guys not get something out of these? To me, this is huge because here we're all stroke survivors, right? And yet we're putting the bar up there and we're saying we can get there. How many of you in this room, and I know I ask this all the damn time and everybody gets tired of it, but how many of you sitting in this room heard you're going to get better for about a year and a half at the
yeah.
best,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
BS. Now, yes, there are some things that we've all had happen that we may not get over. Okay. Lanae knows through her and my experience that I don't remember names all the time. And it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And I have to work at it. I have to continue to work at getting better, but I am getting better. But the whole point is that, I'm 10 years out, 11 years, and I was let go of my job. I mean, I owned a company, a good sized company, and they let me go after, 18 months or so because they were there when the doctor told me you got about a year and a half as good as it's going to get. Now, you guys are so encouraging to me personally. I hope to every one of us in this room. And I hope that you guys continue to come back because these are the types of things that are critically important as stroke survivors to know and to continue down this journey. Last thing I want to say, and then we can wrap it up with a couple more comments. We have Dr. Blaise Morrison is speaking. Where is Michael? Michael introduced me to Blaise, and he's going to present for us on the next meeting. We have him every second and fourth Tuesday of each month. And so we're looking forward to having him speak again. Anybody have a few comments they want to wrap up with? I thought everybody's was great. Lanae, go ahead. You're on, your speaker is.
So sorry. You know
It's
me,
okay.
I talk too much, so I was trying to be quiet. I noticed a few of you know me are laughing a little too much. Keith, we've got that wonderful tape that Mike Studer did on neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
And so for all of you who don't know what that is, Stroke Awareness Oregon recently had a luncheon. We had a great speaker, probably the best physical therapist, bar none, I have ever seen. But he speaks all over the world. We had him for 20 minutes. He spoke on neuroplasticity. He did a fabulous job. And Keith, I wonder if anybody that's on this would like a copy of that.
Well, so let's do this. Ben, you'll share with me the link, and I'll share it on when we put out the whole thing. Deanna, are you getting this? Are you on our mailing list?
I have no idea. Probably not. I mean, Bevan sent me the link for this, just to be part of this. So I don't know if I am or not.
Okay, so Bevan, you'll get it, of course, and then
Yeah, he's got my email. So yeah,
if you're okay with it, Vienna, we'd like to put you into our system so that you get everything too.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, and everybody get it? Go ahead, Lonnie. Sorry about that.
I just
wanted
wanted to add one more quick comment. When you get this link, I think we all understand what neuroplasticity is, but this is a great explanation. I would really invite you to share it with your friends, your family, your grandkids, because it really explains how the brain will continue to heal. And it's just really, I would encourage you all to listen to it and then pass it around.
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lonnie. And a couple of other things I had on here was we had a fantastic May. Of course, you guys heard me talk to Kim O'Kelly a little bit about her play, which we do have recordings of if anybody is interested in that for, I can't remember, $20 or something. It's well worth it. I'm telling you, it was an incredible play. Much better. I mean, it was just fabulous. So there was that. We did, there was so much stuff we did in May and we had a great time. Are there
I
any?
wrote it. Just want
Yeah.
to say that I wrote it and I did the whole show without my cane. I'm just
Wonderful.
It was incredible too to see her. I'm telling you, it was a real life. You did a fabulous job, Kim. I
Thanks.
mean,
It was fun.
yeah, you killed it.
Hey, never thought I'd be on stage again. So
That's awesome. That goes to what I'm talking about. You
I
guys,
know.
Kim was on stage,
that's right.
and
22 years it's been.
and Steve, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Steve was on, and he played, his band played music, and oh my gosh, it was an incredible month for us. Does anybody have a stroke anniversary this month?
I do.
Jeff,
Yeah,
awesome, buddy. A
I
year?
do. 1 year.
Wow.
1 year.
Yes, 1
Are
year.
you going to celebrate?
I don't have any plans.
You're gonna ride
So
an
I-
extra mile. That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah. And
You know, it's funny. I
what?
would love to ride an extra mile. Every time I up my riding, I end up throwing up. And
I was gonna say, bring
become-
the barf bag with you. You know those ones when I was in the hospital, they had these barf bags with a ring and it had a blue bag. I carried one with me always because they're
Oh,
perfect.
I
you know?
got one right here in my. I got one right in
Do
my
you?
pocket. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I know
would
it's-
really encourage you. I celebrate every year. Sometimes it's a little celebration, but you know what? We're alive. We're moving forward. We've
Yeah.
learned so much. My stroke was 7 years ago, as was Kim's. But you know what I have learned in this 7 years about myself,
Yeah.
about people, and about the world. So I think it's really important to celebrate your stroke anniversary.
Yes.
Anniversary.
8 years, Monet. We
Yep.
had our stroke 2 weeks apart and we go out and celebrate every
Well,
year.
I have a question for all these cerebellar stroke people. I'm not a drinker. I've never been a drinker. I
Yeah,
enjoy
I-
beer. Are you able to drink again?
I've never
Wait,
tried.
wait.
I've
Stop,
never
stop,
tried either.
Stop.
I'm
Why
stop.
do you-
scared.
Wait.
Okay. Who knows?
Bevan,
Bevan, is he still on here? Ask him
Wait
if we
a
can
second.
drink.
Everybody. I'm gonna have Bevan talk about this, but I don't necessarily agree with Bevan, but you go ahead, Bevan.
I
Talk
think
to
it's a
yourself.
bad idea, actually. I think it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
be- Yeah, I think the
I never could do
intoxication
it
is gonna-
well, so I kind
Yeah.
of.
Chris, will you grab this?
I think
I
it's probably toxic to the brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the
I just
cerebellum is
don't
what
need any more help
metabolizes the
looking
alcohol. So if your
drunk, you know?
cerebellum has been messed up, do you become a cheap drunk, or is it making things worse?
I've always been a cheap drunk. What do you mean, like cheap in what what sense? Like
You don't. You
can't
only
drink.
need one
you
drink. to
can't
get you
drink.
there. Yeah.
You guys,
So-
you guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. So, all right, everybody that wants to know something, email Bevan and let's bombard Dr. Choate on that
He's
one.
going to be inundated with getting drunk questions, right?
Yeah.
He knows that I usually have a glass of wine most every night. And so,
Hey, that's okay.
yeah.
Bevan, are you in Bend?
No, I'm in Albuquerque.
Oh, you're in Albuquerque. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get you out to Bend, buddy.
Yeah, I have a friend out there. He works as a gastroenterologist. So yeah, I'll I don't mind. Yeah, I'll go
It's
out there.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah.
All right, well.
So I don't know if I got the answer or not. Are cerebellar strokes, are you able to, did they tell you to not have alcohol?
Okay, everybody stop. Bevan, you answer this, please.
No one ever mentioned it to me.
Same.
I just never could drink very well after the stroke as it was. I mean, like a few
Yeah.
beers and I'd be kind of wide gate, like trying to stay upright.
Marcia has a comment as well.
So for people who drink, who binge drink, and that's 4 drinks for women in a 2-hour period and
Oh,
5 drinks
God.
for men, have a 39% greater chance of stroke.
Well, the question
Just-
I come up with when I hear that is I agree with that, and I never drank before I had my stroke.
No, me
But
either.
since I've had my stroke, I've had a sip of beer, but no one's told me yes or no to it. Can
Well,
you?
all my doctors, like the head of neurology at VGH hospital here, she just told me not to. Because she just said it's just really not good for your brain. And well, it's not good for your brain in general, right? But after
Yeah.
you've had stroke, and like I said, like you, I hardly ever drank before stroke,
Yeah.
ever. So,
Yeah.
but every once in a while, I just figure, I ate so well, I did all these things, and I thought maybe I should just start doing the exact opposite, right? Just start binge drinking, smoking. Like, what difference does it make, right?
So
Oh
Keith,
my gosh.
Keith, I just want to add this. So I don't drink, but I'm always saying I can't drink because I can't get a DUI on a cane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you allowed to drive in the US if you've had a stroke? Like they don't do anything
Oh,
about
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
No, you are allowed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, my license was pulled immediately. Like I have no license now either. I mean, I can ride a bike anywhere I want, but yeah, no license, absolutely not. Yeah.
maybe we
Jeff,
can-
it took
Yeah.
Lanae and I both. We did not drive. It was both around the same time, 13 months.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
That's me.
Oh no, I can't even go there. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you can
that's
move to
okay.
Bend and we'll get you a license.
I'm an American citizen, actually. So I was born in Chicago.
Huh?
Awesome. Well, all right, guys, I got to wrap this up. Thank you
Okay.
guys, every one of you so much. It was a great meeting and I look forward to next meeting and appreciate each and every one of you so much. No
Thank
kidding.
you.
So
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Keith.
we'll
Thank you,
talk
Keith.
soon,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.